It's really hard to get Americans to all agree on something. But one thing that all Americans can agree on is who's super annoying. And believe it or not, one of those groups of people are called Disney adults. If you don't know what they are, well, buckle up because you're going to find it really interesting. Today's video is called Disney Adults Are the Worst. Linked to the original video down in the description. We always credit the original creator. Always consider supporting them as well. But if you like the conversations and discussions we do here on my channel, consider subscribing to me. We have a lot to talk about today. So without further ado, let's get it.
So, Disney. I'm going to be completely honest with you. You look ugly as f today. Pop that zit on your right cheek and adopt a middle hairline part if you have any hair left for that receding hairline. But as an adult now, I do not remember watching that many Disney movies as a child. The only ones I do remember and rewatched over and over because for some reason I thought they would have a different ending. Yes, as a child I was just as delusional and coping harder than the Titanfall community, thinking the third one is coming out.
Funny. This guy's got jokes. Funny. Okay, if you don't know, Titanfall is a game, probably one of the best shooters ever, that we're never ever gonna get to see again for some reason because EA is stupid. But I don't know. I've watched a lot of Disney movies. I know a lot of people who have. I feel like it's one of those things where like it was really hard not to.
Yeah, if you think EA isn't going to completely bukkake your favorite game or franchise with a 100% win rate, you are delusional. Look what they've done with Battlefront 2. All they had to do was improve the anti-cheat and add the most minuscule chode of content, and the game would essentially receive a mercy res, but they won't. Anyway, bit of a tangent there, but I haven't watched that many Disney movies, especially recently. But the absolute peak of my childhood that I will go back and watch every now and again, at least from the animated ones, is obviously Chicken Little, Bolt, Big Hero 6, Lilo and Stitch, and Lion King.
Dang, you know what's crazy to hear the word Bolt? If you don't know Bolt, it is the dog, the white dog. Where's he at?
Little Bolt.
This dog. Okay, so funny story about Bolt. I remember getting this on a bootleg DVD because there's a restaurant. It's closed down now. This was a long ass time ago. There was a restaurant, this Mexican restaurant, where this guy would sell bootleg DVDs. I know, crazy, right? And so I remember I had $3. He would sell them for $4, but I had $3. I went over there. I bought a movie. Didn't know what it was. He's like, since you don't have enough money, I'll just give you a random one. And so he gave me this. It was Bolt. Now, the funny thing about Bolt is when they burn the DVDs, they just start the movie. As soon as you put them in, it's on. As soon as it loads, it starts the movie immediately. So there's no menu. There's no nothing. So I remember watching this movie, and then whenever I would start watching it, I would fall asleep. But because it starts as soon as you load it in, it loops. It would continually loop, play the same movie over and over again. And so I would wake up in the middle of the night not knowing what time it is and see the movie still playing and be like, oh, it's been like 2 hours. But at reality, it's been like 4, and then I'll go back to bed. I'll wake up again and the movie's still playing. So I'll be like, I remember this movie vividly because it just threw me in this weird time loop because that DVD just kept looping and looping and looping. Anyway, I know, side tangent, but I just thought it was really funny. Also, that's why if you look at my dog, he's a little, he's deaf. He can't hear, but he looks just like this guy. Look, where's he at? See that? That's my Bolt right there. He looks just like him. Anyway, I'll be surprised. I'm not a huge fan of the movie, but I just have fond memories of it.
Big Hero 6, Lilo and Stitch, and Lion King. Those are the best Disney movies. I'm not even going to say that's my opinion because I know I'm right. But whilst I can say I have a few favourite movies from Disney, that's where my love for it stops. I personally prefer DreamWorks, but there are others that take Disney a lot more seriously.
This part's crazy. Okay, so for those listening in the background, I need you to see this. So the image that's on the screen is a TikTok of this white lady. She's gonna start howling, and but the caption is you're just a white guy who got overwhelmed by the power of Polynesian culture while watching Moana 2. I hate this, bro. This is so cringe. It's so weird. Like, girl. Ha, there's a Polynesian out there being like, "Oh, I'll overwhelm you with some power, girl." Just kidding. I'm kidding.
The point where they potentially base their entire personality around it, and probably love Disney more than the assumed target demographic.
Disney adults when they find a hidden Mickey in their divorce papers. Yes, they're delusional. They're very. I'll say this: they're not like. I don't know. Like I don't know if I want to make fun. I want to make fun of them, but it's kind of like I feel kind of bad. Does that? We'll watch more of the video and you'll understand why I feel kind of like it's not even. It's funny to make fun of them, but it's like you secretly wish they would get help. You know?
Graphic for most of their movies, and that is Walt Disney adults. Now look, I'm not gonna hate someone that likes something as an adult that many assume is for children. If that was a thing, the Five Nights at Freddy's community would be in utter shambles right now.
True.
And as Viva Pinata's #1 fan, and I still think they should remaster it or release it on Steam so I don't have to get the fucking Game Pass to play it, I would look pretty stupid. But you know, you can't hate a man for having a hobby. Even though many of you probably have more disappointing hobbies, I imagine like a D&D campaign set in the My Little Pony universe.
Wait, is that real? That's actually. I'm pretty open-minded. You guys know this, but I think I'm gonna judge. I would judge these people big time, the My Little Pony people. I told the Brony story before. I'm not gonna go through it again. I don't even remember which video it was that I told it.
But when you make that hobby your entire personality, it's the only thing you think about, it's the only thing you talk about, you've constantly customized yourself to be a free walking advertisement for it, and you share all of those things online with platforms like TikTok, some people, especially outside that community, are going to be bewildered by your infatuation towards said subject, especially if you're a bit older. That's where the reputation of Disney adults see themselves today.
Oh my god. You know what? Like it's one of those things where like if this was cosplay, like actual costumes and stuff, people wouldn't think it was cringe. They'll think it's super cool. But I think it's like for those overseas and like my international audience, the reason why Americans find these people kind of insufferable is because it's like all the negatives that come with it. So like if they were just people dressing up and enjoying the hobby, that'd be fine. But I don't know if he's probably going to touch on how annoying these people are. If they could take away and if there was a way for them to enjoy their hobby without all the negatives, then people I think would be cool with it.
At least online. But first, what is and what qualifies you to be a Disney adult?
Do you want to build a snowman? Shut the
Now, the online definition of a Disney adult, according to Urban Dictionary, is a millennial adult with or without kids that can't stop talking about Disney, including the movies and the park. Even if they do have kids, they're still way more obsessed with it than their kids ever would be. I must admit, Urban Dictionary doesn't always get it right, but they did get it right this time, and it's the top definition for this right now. But yes, a Disney adult is someone that is obsessed with the Disney movies and or the Disney theme park, to the point where they can be said to be borderline obsessed, and are very vocal about their interest in this topic. Where you can find videos on most platforms of them expressing how much they love anything Disney, and yeah, they don't have the best reputation. Many people view this as cringe, but some Disney adults are so infatuated with things like the Disney theme park where they will visit it multiple times per year.
Which, again, in and of itself is nothing wrong with going to a theme park and enjoying it, but it's just the negatives, the thing that comes with that culture, that fandom. Not even fandom. It's like the things that come with the Disney adults are so brutal. So again, stick around.
Which can be very expensive for some of the parks. I think the food itself is like a down payment on a car, and
Yeah.
a bottle of Dasani water is $4. At that point, they should be paying you to drink it. Yeah, Dasani water is complete dog shit.
Gross.
On top of the fact there are multiple tiers of tickets you can get, like somewhere you can skip the lines, but these people go quite regularly, which I kind of don't understand. I feel like within 3 days you probably explored everything in the theme parks, and probably don't need to go again for at least a few years, but these people go multiple times per year and never get bored of it. It's the point where they have their own terms within the community, like Disney bounding, which I thought I was dyslexic for a second there. I thought it was bonding, not bounding. Disney bounding is the process of dressing like a Disney character using regular clothes, but I wouldn't look up the definition on Urban Dictionary, because on one of the definitions
Just about like Disney princess and being bound for the purpose. Okay. Of course.
it adds an extra part to it, because as said, Urban Dictionary is not always right. They also have their own lingo apparently, like cast members, referring to any Disney employee, and backstage referring to areas off limits to park guests, and rope drop, which is the most important part of the day, where the park actually opens, and I imagine it's on the same level as the night release of Halo 3, like people camping outside from the crack of dawn just to get in the park early. Some of these words I don't think you'd have to be a hard fan of Disney to understand, like the article suggests. Some of them are very self-explanatory, like dark ride is a term for rides that are in the dark, and signature dining is a term for anywhere that serves food. But there are some interesting ones like Goodnight Kiss, where if you stay all the way to closing time, you can see the Goodnight Kiss on the Cinderella Castle, which is actually interesting. And
That's actually kind of cool. Like, that's not even that bad. This guy's taking forever to get to the negative stuff. I hate it.
some of these are going to be totally useful in your comms when you're at Disneyland. It may even rival some of the CSGO comms, like Banana. There are also hidden Mickeys, which are scattered around the park, and people find it fun to find them, and there's websites and videos to show you where some of them are, which actually reminds me of following a Gored Crovey Easter egg walkthrough.
Hi guys, Mr. Waffles here, and on this shelf that I'm about to look at, this one here, you can find one of the possible spawn locations.
Also, there was a thing which received a lot of attention, which was Disney fans bringing reborn therapy dolls to the park, which is a lifelike baby doll that is used for people that may have lost their baby, and is used as a form of therapy and a way to cope getting over the loss.
I feel uncomfortable. Like they're mourning and or like they're coping and stuff like that. So I don't want to be an asshole about it, but I think it's just a Disney adult combination being attached to it is making me uncomfortable because it's like, are they just using an excuse to be quirky and different, or did they actually go through something? Like, how do you even tell?
Which I don't think it's that big of a deal. It's their way of getting over it, and
Yes, I know, but it's like, can anyone just start doing that and claiming that? I don't know.
I don't think they're causing anyone harm. But why are these adults such hardcore fans of Disney? Well, some tie it down to simply nostalgia. Disney products were often there during many's childhoods, and constantly reminding themselves with it can reduce stress and remind themselves of those good times when they were younger. And some are the complete opposite. Some are Disney adults because they didn't have a childhood, and places like the parks are opportunities to have that experience now. Apparently some psychologists have looked into this, some listing it as a psychological phenomenon, and have added things like the parks are places where they can relive their childhood and experience a sense of wonder and joy.
And I don't know if he's going to say this or talk about this. Another reason why people say that they exist, it's like in the way that like people play video games and they can like immerse themselves in a character and like really escape reality. For some people, it's the physical park that serves as escapism because the park is so immersive. Does that make sense? And so it's just like, it's kind of like LARPing to an extreme. I don't know if that makes sense, but LARPing is live action role play where you, okay, we're not going to do a whole LARPing video. Maybe we will but it's going to be a separate video, but it's kind of like, it's like that. It's like, so allows you to get away from everything else. Now, the problem is with moderation. If you keep doing it over and over again, you know, You want to do everything in moderation. Don't overdo everything.
And some others have added that the environment of Disneyland itself is engineered in a way to immerse you and make you feel that nostalgic feeling. Like Disney's smellerizers, which sounds like something straight out of Phineas and Ferb.
Festival using my Smellinator!
But there are little vents, especially on the main street, that are said to be pumping familiar and soothing smells all around the park. For example, as said, the main street is said to smell like candy floss, marshmallows, and popcorn. Yeah, that is better than what I would assume would be a high quantity of body odor, pollution, and probably some level of vomit. It's also said each part of the park is said to be separated and very different, so each part can tell its own contained story, and so people don't get bored. It's to the point where costumed workers cannot leave their areas due to the risk of mixing themes, and there's actually an underground tunnel where they can move between these areas. Workers are also advised not to break character, and there's also a rule about hugging where the costume staff, if hugged by a child, I don't know if this works for adults, but if hugged, the staff must not be the first to pull away until the child pulls away first.
You know what? I actually know people that work at Disney. I need to ask them if this is true. That's actually kind of crazy. I guess it makes sense for like an emotional like thing with a child, like you don't want to like hurt their feelings or like ruin their dreams of the characters. But it's crazy if this is true. That's kind of crazy how thought out that is. That's actually really crazy.
And the reason behind this is so they don't feel like their beloved character is pulling away from them. I feel like someone has abused this before and just held on to one of the mascots for dear life. Then there's also the use of colours, like in Main Street where they use warm colours to bring somewhat a nostalgic and welcoming vibe. Another design choice is the queuing system, which apparently is designed in a way so that you can't see the full extent of the queues and lines, and they do that by hiding it by breaking your view and avoiding straight lines, so you won't instantly just give up. All of this I find pretty interesting.
Well, they did say that they like the reason why you don't see a lot of theme parks anymore. One is because it's really hard to put them in a lot of places. But another theory is that Disney and I think Universal just they're able to afford the best of the best. So they just hire them and then keep them. Like, they just don't, it's like they absorb all the talent, if that makes sense.
They go to such lengths just to make sure you're having some level of enjoyment, obviously to keep you in the park spending money and making sure you come back, but I can see why some people are almost addicted to coming to Disneyland multiple times per year, especially with some of the emotional attachment people have to Disney, and Disney itself corporate maxing with like sublimable I have a speech impediment, subliminal messages that they put into their parks. But outside of people not involved in this community thinking it's cringe when they see an adult expressing their interest on social media regarding Disney, but outside of this, there are some other problems this community faces, especially if you are obsessed with Disney.
Thank you.
Now, some problems that Disney adults face, once again outside of online scrutiny, is potential financial difficulties. Yes, visiting Disneyland quite frequently may just get you your own real-life rendition of the Lady and the Tramp. Minus the lady. Because being obsessed with Disney and Disneyland is not cheap. I'm pretty sure there is a financial order episode with some Disney adults on there, which I watch because it stimulates my brain the same way cop cams do, and to make myself feel better about my financial mistakes. But the people he invited on his show were paying $2,000 for 2 exclusive passes to Disneyland.
So the passes were $2,000
for the both of us.
What?
For both of us.
For fucking what? And Mickey and his little mouse? What are we doing?
Well, I told myself it would be my treat for like finishing nursing school.
You don't get treats if you're not paying your fucking bills.
Which, in case you're wondering, it is actually known that a lot of these Disney adults get into some heavy credit card debt for this stuff.
To put that in perspective, $2,000 could be half a year of groceries if you're very frugal with it, at least with American prices right now. 8,000 spins on a slot machine, or 2 international flights from America to Japan with return. And keep in mind, this is just an annual pass. This is not permanent. They have to do this every year if they choose to. But there are benefits that come along with this pass. Like free access to the parks, you no longer have to pay admission. You also get to cut a lot of the queues on a lot of the rides. And you also get a discount on the food and merchandise.
Which again, it's like, is it really a discount if they're the ones making it expensive, like stupid expensive? Like, I guess, but okay, I'll be fair here. I've had friends who've like worked at Disney and they've got like, they've bought stuff for me and then they, gave it to me. But it's like, which by the way, they don't get discounts, but it's like, yes, there is value by having the thing specifically from Disney. I just think it's like, is it worth going into credit card debt though? I don't know.
Which would be a good thing, and that $1,000 per person would make sense if the discounts weren't only 10% off most restaurants and merchandise places. But I guess it makes sense if you're going there regularly, like 6 times a year for multiple days maybe, but only 10%.
That's literally just taxes in most cases, the sales tax.
Is just awful. But there are more horror stories of Disney adults maybe being a little bit too addicted to Disneyland. This is from an article about the topic, covering probably some of the most addicted Disney fans, and people within this article probably could be straight up lying. But anyway, one supposed Disney adult said they put off their own son's dentist work so they could afford to go to Disneyland. I'm sorry, bud, if that is true, at that point it's just bad spawn. Poor guy is going to be looking like the stereotype for the British, which is false by the time he grows up. Obviously, if this was
I'm about to say a British joke coming.
True and a different scenario entirely, like hospital surgery to save his life, I assume they would put off their Disneyland trip to pay for that. Not just say, sorry son, there's tumours in your head the size of golf balls that make you look like an organic hidden Mickey. We can't remove them because we're going to Disneyland. Anyway, see you later. Obviously, they wouldn't do that, right? Right? The same article also serves up the statistic that 18% of Disney park goers go into debt just to fund their trip to Disney.
And this is actually a known thing. It's because also a lot of these travel agencies, I don't think airlines do this anymore. Maybe they do, but a lot of travel agencies and like it is travel agencies, the people that book things for you, or like the website offers credit cards. And so it's just, for some people, it's just the only way they can ensure the entire trip is covered right away is through credit card debt. But these Disney adults, in order to get the premiums, like the premium experience, they know that the only way to do it is credit card debt.
Which is a terrible statistic, and it also talks about a couple that went to Disneyland 2,995 days in a row. They went to Disney every day for 8 years, which I think is complete bullshit. I'm sorry, but
I don't think that's accurate, but also like maybe someone worked there for 8 years. That's different.
At the point, there must be no excitement left. You know the map, you know the spawns, you probably know everybody there, and I understand addictions come in many forms, but I just don't understand 8 years in a row daily to the same place. Just the fun that they must have lived locally and worked just to go to Disney on the night or something. But that is supposedly how far these Disney adults go to support their infatuation with Disney. But some see it as a problem that they support everything Disney does, no matter how good or bad it is. For example, some of the latest Disney movies, and some of them being arguably terrible. Don't worry, I'm not going to make the joke again. But these Disney adults supporting these terrible movies, at least financially, some people believe it will not force Disney to change, and we will see the same quality in movies and series from Disney.
But the thing is, it's like, to be fair, Disney adults aren't supporting Disney. Like, Disney adults aren't sustaining Disney. I mean, like, when it comes to these movies, for example, some of these are, like, successful entirely outside of America. So, it's, yes, even though America has a huge financial market, there are movies who just straight up make all their money overseas. So, I don't think that's entirely fair. They don't really, they make an impact, sure, specifically on the parks by feeding into bad habits, but when it comes to movies, I wouldn't give them that much credit.
I can at least see this point being applied to the Marvel series right now. Previously, every movie used to be a masterpiece, and now it's a hit and a miss every now and again. Deadpool and Wolverine wasn't that bad though, except for that one CGI scene. But I definitely thought Guardians of the Galaxy was pretty good, and I think Star Wars is being treated the same way as Marvel now. Rogue One and the Obi-Wan and Boba Fett series were good. I can't remember any of the other movies, to be honest, and I refuse to believe the 7th onwards exist. But I do see where this critique comes from. People want Disney, and especially the Marvel franchise, to go back to how it was, and holding their wallet hostage is one of the ways to do that. But I don't think Disney adults are seriously the only ones financially supporting them. If they were, they're doing a terrible job at it, because some of their movies are losing millions in the box office.
Which, in fairness, we also found out through, again, it's not really politics, but it's actually something that did happen, is like there was different financial incentives for like inserting DEI, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion. Not saying that that's like necessarily a bad thing, but when your whole gimmick is to insert that for government, tax incentives or government grants, then, yeah, like there was businesses, like industries that lost like 20% of their income because of the United States government cutting back on that. So there is also a trend of companies chasing that. So, this loss of money, I'm just being fair here. This loss of money and these projects being bad were because they were chasing that money. Then the money didn't exist, but they still had to release that product because it was already too late that they already spent all that money. So, it's not just that they're that bad. They are bad. A lot of these projects are bad, but it's also the decision making to chase that money and then lose it.
So probably now is a better time than ever for them to reflect on the quality of their movies.
Clanker is our word. However, you can call us Clankers.
The main critique against Disney adults is just that they are cringe, and adults shouldn't be this infatuated with Disney. But there are Disney-themed fleshlights, just so you know. The image of Mike Wazowski tube-shaped is...
No, but they also be fighting each other, and like this movie... Okay, this video is probably such a terrible video. I'm still going to post it to the channel, this reaction, because I do think it's important that people know. And also, he's very respectful for the most part. Most people try to really shit on Disney adults. And you know what? I was this whole time when I was reacting to this, I was like, there's no way I'm going to share this with my audience. But I think he does a good job of talking about him without being too overly critical. But there is some negative things about Disney adults. They fight a lot. There's trends of like people getting like biker jackets with patches on it. Buying things and then reselling them for like stupid amounts online, like scalping. There's a lot of really bad things in that community. But again, any communities like that, I just think, they harass some of these employees because if you believe it or not, the employees at Disney don't really make that much money, and they're always some of the most they're Karens for the most part, but it's because they're super obsessed with the park, but they're still Karens. So I'm not excusing it.
Still burned into my memory. And what they did to Meta was even worse. But anyway, yeah, a lot of people make fun of Disney adults online. It is a theme on some platforms to impersonate them, and some unironic ones have turned off their comments due to all the flack they got, and people not saying the nicest of things. But hey, as long as you aren't harming anyone or shoving your obsession down other people's throats, financially making yourself bankrupt, and I don't know, neglecting your children, then you're fine to like whatever you want.
True.
Personally, I've moved on to making fun of the Hearts of Iron players. They're all femboys, and some cried like little bitches when they added the No Step Back expansion. You can enjoy most things like Disney at any age. Disney millennials or adults exist, and they're just probably trying to relive their childhood. Yes, some are a bit obsessed, but
also, like, it's funny because people call me fat. No, Disney adults are some of the fattest people in America. But it's also because, like, if you go to Disney, a lot of it's just, like, really not unhealthy food. I mean, they do have healthy food, but no, you know what? He's right. I mean, as long as people aren't hurting people, as soon as they stop, I honestly, I think if they weren't so much Karens, I think people would get, be nicer to them. Because, like, everybody's kind of cringe in their own way. Like, if you go to gaming conventions, probably 10, 15 years ago, you were considered cringe, but now it's, like, normal. So I just think if they weren't Karens, that people would love them and be cool with them. Because Disney is, still got some cool IPs and cool franchises. even if they mishandle them, I still, they still have Marvel. They still have Star Wars. Like, it's still cool to see Star Wars, like stormtroopers walking around, like, burp, 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 burp. You know what I mean? Like, I still think it's cool. Disney's still a cool place. I just, we'll find a balance. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Was this a good conversation? Should we look more into Disney adults? Should I have been harsher on them? Should I have gone easier? Let me know what you think. Love you guys. Check out the next one. This video is brought to you actually by viewers like you. Thank you so much for subscribing and being part of my journey and allowing me to be a part of yours. Let's create new memories this 2025 on our road to 1 million subscribers. And with all that jazz out of the way, I just want to say thank you so much. I love y'all and enjoy the video.